So it's recording now. At least it says record. I got up just to make sure that it was going still.
Yeah, that's why you gotta have a cameraman.
Alright, this is Best Race Games. We recorded something already, and
Technically, it didn't record.
I guess I didn't press the red button. But again, I've been telling everybody I want different stuff on the content, and here with me is my cousin Rudy, and we were going to talk about stuff that we already talked about, but we were talking about being locked up in quarantine and suffering from anxiety and depression and recommendations, because like at the shop and online, I'm very vocal about a heavy advocate about mental illness and stuff like that. And with the store, I'm always a big, if you're suffering or having depression, to come talk to me, or if you need to come by, stay, whatever it is, because I understand it too well, and it's rough. And we both suffer from it pretty bad. And I was talking to him about how things, we can't watch new things. All these movies are getting put on hold. It's really depressing. I think that they announced like Spider-Man's not coming out until 2022.
Wait, really? I didn't know that.
Like Doctor Strange is 2022. Like all these movies that we had on track, and like Loki was supposed to come out TV show next month, and now it's not. So a lot of things that we look forward to in life, the little small things that make us feel good and happy, we're not getting those. So it's kind of rough. So right now, we're big movie fans. That's where we have a lot of common ground for me and him. Right now in this time, we're watching a lot of movies. So I told him, hey, just pick out 5 movies that you think you recommend to people while we're in quarantine, or just when you're down, because we'll be out of quarantine hopefully soon. And to pick you up or to make you distracted. So basically, that's what we're going to go over. We're going to hopefully start doing more videos on the channel that aren't just game stuff, more of, people from the Best There Is, hangout groups and stuff, dealing with different things. And I think covering movies and stuff like that is great. I love when we used to do like news and talk about like what we would like to see in movies and stuff like that. But we're just going to go off and list 5 movies each of what we would like to see, or what we would recommend you guys to see. And I'm guessing you're going to start off with Mandy again.
So there's this movie
which doesn't seem like to me the most comforting movie. It's a rated R, scary, trippy.
It's like movie. A mix between action and horror. Think of if Evil Dead and Road Warrior had a baby. That's what this movie would be.
An abortion.
But so in the movie Mandy, it stars Nicolas Cage. And I know many of you know him as like a meme at this point, but like for me personally, I was telling him that I grew up on Nicolas Cage. Like I never had anything against Nicolas Cage. I've always been a big fan of his, but like
for me, I just feel like he's always the same dude in every movie.
Right.
He's always just the same guy that's kind of talking.
I'm gonna take my face.
I want my face off. And he's just always like the same, like.
That movie brings me back to my child, because my mom and I used to watch that all the time.
Well, Face Off is such a stupid ass movie, but it's good.
I like it personally, but
it's good, but it's not. It's not like a great cinema. Like this is cinema. Ripping some guy's face off and me wearing it, but our bodies don't change or anything.
We were joking about saying like, imagine his face on my face.
It just wouldn't.
It wouldn't work.
It just doesn't work the way they made it work, or whatever.
But yeah, so in Mandy, it's like more of like. It's like an action horror movie. Like I said, it's not. I'm sure it's not going to be everyone's taste, but it's definitely something I like, and I felt like with Nicolas Cage and how not all of his movies were a hit and run. As he's also admitted, this movie was definitely made.
I think there's an ongoing joke. I think what is it? Funny or Die. I think has it where like he just keeps picking up the phone and taking any job.
I saw that one.
Yeah.
Like, Nick, no, you cannot take this movie.
And he just keeps taking everything.
But then again, I feel like that's also... I'm also an actor, or I'm trying to be an actor, and that, to an extent...
Nice flex. Subtle flex.
Well, no, but like
I'm an actor.
Well, trying to be. But like, I feel like that's also good for any, you want to.
Yeah, but he's at the point where he's a higher caliber actor where you don't have to take every role that gets thrown at you.
Exactly. Yeah. I see where you're coming from.
I mean, when you're like Kevin Hart, I think I would take any role because you're just known as Kevin Hart. Every movie, I'm the same fucking guy. So
right.
You think he would take it to eventually get like a real role, like a acting role, like he took that one with Bryan Cranston.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's something that you're like, okay, he can spread his wings a little bit and do a little more than just like, oh no,
Right, but like with Nicolas Cage's character in this, like I said, bringing up his over the top acting, it makes sense in this movie to the extent of the environment and what the character's going through. Like you're not laughing at him, you're like, I get it, what's happening to him, I understand.
Right.
You're not just like, okay, this guy's acting just sucks, or did he have to do that? So yeah, I definitely recommend that movie for sure.
And why do you recommend that for someone that maybe is down or like not feeling it right now?
Right. So it is exciting because a lot of it is action. It's not a ton of dialogue, but there's a lot of symbolisms in the movie, and there's a lot of, and then when I mean action, it's like more of like an 80s themed horror movie. It's not like a bunch of cutscenes and a bunch of.
And for me, I don't mind 80s horror. I hate horror movies, but 80s, again, they're not really good plots, but they're like not too gruesome. I mean, they're kind of gruesome, but they're not as bad as like in the 90s where they feel like they had to throw blood everywhere. Like,
yeah, but like in this one, like the fighting's great. There's a chainsaw fight, which, like I said, you don't get a lot of that, and they do it so well in this movie. But like. The fighting, the stunt coordination, it's put together really well, and even like the music in the background is also really like electric guitar or like very epic and dark, but at the same time it's like.
Did you get the soundtrack?
Yeah, so it's like it was made by a guy named Johan Johansson.
Johansson?
Something like that. You'd have to look it up, but he's done a lot of soundtracks for a lot of big movies, and that was like his last. I think that was like his last movie he did soundtracks for, and it's very different. It's got like that '80s like nostalgia kind of electric wave kind of.
Gotcha. That makes sense.
But yeah, I definitely recommend it, and yeah.
Well, mine is way different. I think nostalgia plays a big part in feeling good and feeling better. This is why we go to McDonald's and shit, even though it's like killing us. But it's just walking in and smelling the place. It's like reminds you of being a kid. Diabetes. But it's just nostalgia is like one of those addictions we crave. I think a lot of people do.
Yeah. That
you want to feel a way you did before. So for me, like I go back to like older movies when I was a younger kid when things weren't as crazy. There's a ton of movies around this time like Rookie of the Year, Mighty Ducks, Blank Check, House Guest, all kinds of like I love House Guest. I'd put House Guest on here too, but we won't get into that. But I went with Heavyweights is a great movie that I like to watch like all the time. Kids going to fat camp. It's hilarious. Keenan's in it. Ben Stiller's in it. Or Keenan, was it? He's like Keenan Thompson. I was going to say Keenan Mitchell, but that's Kel Mitchell.
Yeah.
Keenan Thompson, Ben Stiller. Judd Apatow had a big part in it. It was supposed to be like a Meatballs type movies. I think the counselors originally were supposed to be Chris Farley and Adam Sandler at the time. They talk about this on the Blu-ray DVD, which I had to buy to listen to commentary. Because it's just that kind of movie where I just want to learn more about. Because it's so good and so funny, but it's a kid movie. And you could tell they were supposed to go like an adult route, but they didn't quite get there because Disney took over. But it's good. It makes me laugh. And again, it takes you just back to that feeling of being young, remembering, those times. And everyone I know that's watched it thinks it's like, oh, this is gonna be stupid. It's a kids about fat camp, but it's just so there's so many dumb things in there that happen that are subtle but they're funny, and it's just small things like that. And I could just watch it a million times. Like my wife hates it when I put it on because I lip or I will openly recite lines from movies or even The Office. Like I'll say the whole lines while we're watching it because I've seen it so many times. So that's a movie I'm really bad at because I've seen it so many times. But I will watch it again and again and again. Like I was saying on our video that got messed up, that like my mom, it's crazy. Like I don't know how I came from her that she likes to watch a movie once and that's it. And like for me, if I like a movie, I'll watch it a ton of times. And there's movies that like
only certain movies do that for me, not all of them.
For me, there's a lot, but it just depends on my mood. And it's like, especially if it's like, again, I'm a writer. No, but
you try to say I'm flex my acting there. I'm a writer.
I'm being stupid. I like to write. So
yeah,
if there's like things in certain movies that I like, am craving, like the way they're talking, I'll keep watching it. And like I was saying, like Django, a lot of people, it's funny how much I realize people are like, yeah, that movie's good, but it's not like one of my favorite. It blows my mind because I think Django is one of the best storytelling, but I love Christopher Waltz. Christopher Waltz is great in Glorious Bastards.
That's the little German dude, right?
Mm-hmm. But he's great. He's the bounty hunter in Django.
Wait, is he German in real life? He's German or something?
German.
I don't want to assume his.
Well, he's very fluent in like 3 languages, so it's like tough to say what he is, but I think he could be German. Waltz, I don't know if that's German, I'm not sure, but he's just fucking amazing.
He is.
His whole dialogue in Django, even the opening, not the opening scene, but the opening, actually, I need to stop saying opening. The first real experience with him and Django after he releases him and he kills the guy and then everyone in the town surrounds him and he walks out with, the bounty and all that. Just the dialogue is just so intense and good though and funny and it just plays off well. So it's one of those things where it's like I could watch these things over and over, and Heavyweights for me falls into that, and that's why I mentioned as far as like quarantine and being locked away. If it's something funny like that, it just makes me laugh. And like I've said earlier, like laughing is such a good thing for you, and they say it's the best medicine, which
it really is.
I disagree. I think there's a lot better medicine.
Well, I'm saying for emotional stuff,
but
like a lot of humor helps.
It does help a lot. It does help to not be down and not be upset.
So my second movie, or
your second movie.
So the second movie I recommend, it is also violent, but it's also just like a simple. It's a good action movie called Brawl in Cell Block 99. It stars Vince Vaughn, and what I like about it personally, again, how it's choreographed, the fight scenes, and it's a simple storyline. It's not over the top. It's not all over the place.
I think we're only 2 feet apart. Go ahead.
El Isoverse Carnal. Some of you may not get that, but okay. So with this movie, Vince Vaughn, the way he prepared, like he had to learn how to box. He said he got really comfortable.
It's weird because it seems like he did a lot of work for a movie that didn't get a lot of.
Well, it is more of an
press.
Independent movie.
Yeah.
Well, even Mandy didn't get a lot of press either, but people still like it. But like with this one, the fight scenes are really well. He does his own stunts.
But again, why do you recommend this for quarantine and?
Well, the reason why I would recommend it is because it's just a good movie. Personally,
I feel someone that has like anxiety and depression.
Yeah, I don't think it would trigger anxiety and depression.
No, but what could they benefit from this?
I guess.
Like I said, I think we said earlier. Like,
well, the message behind that movie and the character, the lengths you would go for your family.
Well, also, I think, like we were saying earlier, like you having such a hard day at work and just wanting to lash out at people.
And these movies are
kind of nice to watch some movies that watch people lash out. Because me, unfortunately, I can't go anywhere because my job is not essential, or my store is not essential. So
Yeah,
I'm stuck.
essential.
Everyone I know is essential, so everyone's lives.
No, we're sacrificial.
Well, yeah, but everyone hasn't changed. No one. The only thing that's changed for me is Logan's home now. My son's home now, and other than that, everyone else is still working. Nothing's changed. A whole family, you know. So yeah, but anyways, carry on.
So kind of like what he said. It's like, you know, of course, in real life you can't fight and beat them.
Well,
in these movies, they get away with it. And another thing too. Sorry, what were you gonna say?
I was gonna say, there's just sometimes where, like, you know, you want to be the Punisher, even though you never would do that. You know, I hope. But yeah, there's days where you're like, you know, I just want to break shit, and like I need to. And you watching it, like, this is the time where people will blame movies and video games, saying like, see, you watch that and it's gonna make you do it. But it's like, no, sometimes we watch it because, yeah, we think about that, but it kind of gets us our little release. Like, okay.
Well, like, I've always been a big fan of action movies, so that's just something that I've always liked. So that, but like with with this movie, what I was stating is the character, although it is like violent and all that, in hindsight, it's showing a man that going these extreme lengths to save his wife who's pregnant with his baby, and he's, you know, it just, that's what I like. He, and when you watch it, like, man, like, I don't know anyone who, I mean, depending on who you're talking about, will go to these lengths for their family. Some people would, but then some people are more cowardly.
Yeah, you never know till you're in that situation.
Exactly, but I'm saying this character goes through that, and not only that, like I said with Mandy, and the character Nicolas Cage plays, Red Miller, and this character Vince Vaughn plays, they're more realistic tough guys. They're not like indestructible. They're not really.
They kind of got their own John McClane going on.
Exactly, and they're not like just six packs and pretty boy looking, and they always get the girl. It's not like that, you know. It's realistic, you know. And like I said, I've known guys like that are realistic tough guys. They don't look the part, but
right.
They are.
But
tough guys, you know.
Yeah, but they still have that essence that gives us hope that we all could be a tough guy someday.
Yeah, and the thing with
you don't have to be in super shape to.
No, because these guys aren't in the movie. Vince Vaughn, I mean, is in better shape.
Well, it's just not even about being in shape. It's more about just standing up for yourself, win or lose. That's my thing. Is like, I'm not afraid of a fight ever in my life. But does that mean I'm gonna whoop someone's ass? No, I'll probably get my ass whooped, but I'm not gonna back down. Like, it's just.
It's not about the destination, it's the journey.
It's my ass whooping journey. It's just the mentality I have and was raised with, where it's like you just don't back down. Of course, you also got to be intelligent enough to know when it's worth fighting for, though. Right. Too. If you're gonna fight over a parking spot, I'm not gonna square up with you. Yeah. I'll walk away from that fight because that just sounds stupid.
Just take it, right?
Yeah, and then they might think, oh, he's a bitch. I'm like, no, I just don't got fucking time for that. Too many things going on in life. Exactly. Jump to mine. Mine's Fast and Easy. Dumb and Dumber. You gotta just enjoy funny things in life, man. And Dumb and Dumber, for me, I think it's one of the funniest movies. It's hard for me to pick favorite movies, period, but I think, like, comedic wise, that movie just, again, nostalgia brings me back. Like, we were watching Ace Ventura 2 the other day, and Jim Carrey's just money, and like my son that's like 7 and me to 35, a friend that's 28, all watching it, laughing at the exact same parts. It's just nuts. And
my dad did the same thing with me, you know. Yeah. As a kid.
And it's crazy, but like it works for everybody. It's not even a family movie, really. But Dumb and Dumber is
comedy. Yeah.
Very similar, but for me, it's even more funny. And like I said, I know that movie back and forth. And regardless how many times I've seen it, I'll watch it again and again and again. I won't get tired of watching it. And again, it's just one of those ones that it kind of just distracts you, makes you laugh, and laughing's good for you. And it's a movie that I would go to anytime or recommend to someone if they had and go, should I watch this? I'm not feeling great right now. I'd be like, yeah, totally watch it. It's hilarious.
And like we were saying too, it's a movie you can just sit back and enjoy. You don't have to think a whole lot. You know, it's just a funny movie. You can just enjoy and laugh at, you know.
Yeah, you don't need to sit there and break it down and try to figure a way.
No, it's like, did that symbolize this and that? No,
or was this guy, was he supposed to, like, you know, none of that. It's just a movie to watch.
Exactly.
All right, your third one.
So my third one is, I'll go lighter this time, you know.
I'm going to turn down the lights and set the mood for you.
I'm going to ride the rainbow. That sounds wrong. It's like, I'm going to ride the rainbow.
Holy diver.
Yeah. I'm going to go with Valley Girl, which is personally my favorite 80s movie.
Shocked me on the first one. I'm not shocked now, because at first I was like, where did you pull this from? But he's just on some Nick Cage shit right now.
Well, like
Nick Cage roller coaster.
Well, like I said, I'm a fan of Nick Cage. You know, it's a big part of.
And he's the main dude trying to get the girl, right?
Yeah,
so he plays a high schooler.
So I think it's more like it's.
Does he play a high schooler?
I don't think. Yeah, high schooler.
It's just because last thing I remember him in is a small part in Fast Times at Ridgemont High. And he's just a line cook in that. He has no speaking dialogue or anything. he's Nicholas Coppola at that time.
I have to watch that again because I don't remember that.
Fast Times is so good.
No, I remember Fast Times. What I'm saying.
Oh, Nick Cage being in it.
Yeah,
it's probably very small. He's in the background. But yeah, it's just weird that you'd say Valley Girl. So why would you say it? Just because the?
So for me, one of the things I liked is it's two opposites. You know, falling in love. You know, he's from like. Well, back in the day, they called men like him like a hood, and her, she's the Valley Girl, and they're completely opposite, and they
like most.
But then also
comedies, like
but for me personally, from a personal perspective, it brings me back to like in high school when I was trying to get the hot girl, or when I was trying to get the girl that I really liked.
Did you ever get them?
No. Yeah, you just. No, but like I
had to put that stake in the heart.
Right. Like finish him.
But yeah, no.
So for me, sorry, but for me, it brings me back to like being that young adult, that teenager who was trying to get the girl that I really liked, and even though it's not.
I think anything. If you had some good memories of high school, I think watching anything that brings you back a little bit to it, even if there was some bad, crazy shit. It's just like, oh man, those are the days. Like you think about like weird stuff like that.
Yeah.
Granted, I'm a lot more older than you, but you know, it was a different time.
Obviously.
I mean, I had to pastoral notes. You probably released texting notes back then.
In elementary, we were passing notes, but we were never successful because there's times where but I wasn't even passing notes. Like someone tried to pass it to me, but I would be so blunt, be like, "Oh yeah, really?" And then like, "Okay, obviously I saw that." I was an idiot.
But so. I think like rom-coms are good. People will hate on it, especially dudes who are like, "Oh, you're a pussy." Dude, I love a good rom-com. Like,
well, for me personally too. Back in high school, I was always known as like, you know, they have like the awkward teen love movies.
Yeah.
Like I love you, Beth Cooper, or whatever. That was me in high school. I was that type of person in high school, and it brings me back to anytime I watch those movies.
I'm the character in all those movies.
Well, I could relate, you know, because I was like a nerd and I tried to get the girl, and like you drove a stake in my heart. It never worked.
But the movies told lies.
They did tell lies,
but they at least entertain you, make you feel good.
They did, yeah. They did.
What did I go to after this? Coco.
Yeah, man.
So Coco, like I said, cartoons I think are a no-brainer for anyone. Locked down, don't got nothing to watch. But like again, it's hard because there are some deep ones, man, that cut deep, like Lion King and Fox and the Hound, Bambi, and you're just like, don't get me wrong, I'm not the biggest Bambi fan or Fox and the Hound, but I do love Lion King. But it's dark, and like I was telling him,
it's not something you want to watch during quarantine.
Like I told him that they were saying like Scar's
such a diva.
No, well they said like how he took down Pride Rock. Made us feel like that's how quarantine is right now.
It's true.
We weren't prepared though. He sang this song, "Be Prepared," and we weren't ready for this.
Really, we're not ready for this.
But Coco was different, man. Like I said, I lost a friend during that time when I watched it, and it was one of the sleeper movies where like I didn't like, oh, I'll get to it and whatever. It didn't feel like a Pixar movie, but then watching it made me like, wow, I'm really proud of my heritage and all this stuff. And like, I'm not usually normally like that. I'm very big against like getting all into like your where you came from, because I'm like, oh well, dude, we all came from somewhere, but we're here now. But
And it's always kind of whitewashed the way they put it in movies, so it's not like accurate.
For me in general, though, I just always say, who cares really about the history, even though that's what made us. We're at the point now we're so Neapolitan and we're like all the same basically, but you know, a lot of people aren't going to look at it like that. But I did have this admiring feeling watching it. But it was just like, there was sad parts and stuff, but overall though, it was just such a good like experience, a lot of comfort in like death for me.
Right.
And I think right now, people losing a lot of people, you need to find some kind of comfort. And a lot of people look to religion, people look to other things. And for me, this is a simple cartoon, but the idea of it, and like...
It makes you look at death differently.
It does. And then when you're talking to me about like, oh, you know, you almost cried about this and that, like I said, I
actually cried watching it.
I might have, I can't remember.
Like
I said, I remember like Declan, who does Hero Clicks Magic with me on here, he was like, is this gonna get me, man? Like, there was a scene that I forgot which one, but, and I'm like, dude, it gets deep, but like I said, it's good emotion, even though it's more of like revelation, like emotion, like you're having a moment, not so much like I'm crying because how sad it is, even though there is a couple sad parts like that. But I think overall though, at the end of it, it just like, especially in this time, makes you want to be close to your family and all that. And the way it ended, I told Rudy last time at the end or on our video that it was more like the end was when I wanted to cry, because it was just so uplifting to see, even though I was like, oh, give me an all moment when I saw Coco's picture go up, because you're like, oh, she died. But we all knew it was happening. She was barely there. She never moved when he would play with her and stuff. But it was cool to see that she was in the afterlife with her family, and they let, you know, why am I drawing this blank on his name?
Hector?
Not Hector. Hector. Miguel. they let Miguel play music, and like at the end he's just playing, and you see the animals that are like, you know, I forgot what they call them, but they look over them and he's singing with the family all together, and that was like the moment for me where I was like, man, like that made me tear-eyed. It was just like, it was happy, it was good, and everything. Again, it's nice to watch movies when everything works out. Normally that's how movies go. Right. A lot of times it's really unrealistic, but this one, like, again, was a cartoon where I felt like,
and I think it hits home for anyone who's lost a loved one, for sure.
Well, yeah, like I said, even with us losing our puppies before that, our doggies, even though they weren't puppies, they're little shits that were like 14 and 16, but
yeah,
definitely made my son look at it differently, and having a new dog named Dante, because of that reason,
right,
made us realize, you know, they're here to be something very important to you. You take care of them, and then they do move on before you, hopefully. And then if you get another one, you do the same thing, but hopefully they're just, you gave them these good lives and stuff like that. But I think it's one of those things, like I said, to watch and to help you cope. As a cartoon, it's softer tones for you. It's not too intense, but it does have stuff going on that makes it easier for you to deal with what's going on around you, right, and kind of give you insight on like how you're feeling about everything. But that's my third. Before we get to the fourth, and make sure we're still going.
All right. Is still going? All right. I'm feeling good about this.
You're on Quattro. What's your fourth movie you recommend?
So the fourth movie that I recommend, also like, it's a Tarantino movie. It's called.
Oh, I forgot you got this.
Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. For me, like,
and then last time I made the joke, it was like, damn, you picked hella all like newer movies. Yeah. Besides Valley Girl, I'm like trying to go back deep and like on some or whatever, and you're sitting here going like check out the newest flicks that are hitting Blockbuster
Well, like
right now.
these movies, because I don't like a lot of new movies nowadays, but these newer movies, I'm like, wow, people, actually are still good directors out there.
Yeah.
But like, so for Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, one of the things that I liked is that it gives you it shows you the old Hollywood, because a lot of us, of course, most of us don't know about a lot of like the old, like in the golden age of Hollywood and all that stuff.
I mean, I think there's no one.
I mean, some of us do, like, of course.
If we read up on it, of course, but we didn't live through it.
Right.
You'd have to be like near your.
But there are people that did live through it, that watched it and were like, oh, like, wow, like I can name like half those people in the movie.
Right.
But like, I mean, of course, we all know Bruce Lee. I mean, there's Steve McQueen's in it.
But Bruce Lee's only in that one part, though, right?
No, he appears a few times.
Does he? Oh, okay.
But yeah, but what I liked about it is there's that, and personally, I resonated with it a lot personally.
And again, why do you think it'd be good for like quarantine or when you're down in the dumps? Why would this movie be a movie you recommend to someone to watch?
So it's not as dark as a lot of Tarantino movies are.
Yeah, I kind of got that. Like, I haven't watched it in Donnie.
Like it has a more
told me
lighter.
to watch it, but yeah, from the vibe, it looks like it's not as dark.
Yeah, and that's what people.
Looks like it's around the Jackie. Not even Jackie Brown, because Jackie Brown's got a lot of deaths in it and stuff like that.
Well, the thing with Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, like there was a lot of people that didn't like it because they're just like, well, I want a lot of action and stuff, and
yeah, and that's the thing. Some people are gonna want that, but it's to me,
it doesn't make sense in that movie.
Right? If it calls for the action, that's fine. But
right.
Again, like the Hateful Eight, again, there's not much action going on. There are a couple shootouts and stuff like that, but it's a lot of dialogue.
It's as much as they needed.
Yeah, it's a lot of dialogue, and you don't just shove that in there just to be like, oh, I need to have action at this point. I need to have, because if you're making an action movie within like 10 minutes, well, first of all, within the opening, Fast and the Furious, you do an action scene, then you wait another 20 minutes, an action scene, another 30 minutes, action scene. So you got to do that to keep up that tempo. So people want that sometimes, but if you're trying to just tell a story, sometimes you can't do that the whole time.
Well, the thing too is with this too, like another realistic tough guy, because they're kind of based off of real type of people in that era. Because Leonardo DiCaprio.
DiCaprio. Did you buy him at the dollar store? Sounds like a knockoff.
Yeah. Off of Wish.
Leonardo DiCaprio.
But DiCaprio plays a character called Rick Dalton, who's like a failing like Western action hero.
Mm-hmm.
And then he has his stunt double, who's Brad Pitt, which plays a character named Cliff Booth.
Mm-hmm.
And it's
which
kind of
sounds like a cowboy.
Yeah, and the thing is like the thing about the characters is that like Rick Dalton plays a tough guy in the movies and stuff. It's like Cliff Booth really is like a badass. He really is a tough guy. And they're like with Burt Reynolds and his stunt double Hal Needham. Hal Needham is known as like one of the best stuntmen out there. Mm-hmm. Who was like solely kind of like motivated this character, and with this character, like me and my bro Tyler, like he's kind of like my Cliff Booth and I'm like his Rick Dalton in a way. Mm-hmm. We don't look anything alike, but I'm saying like I've like in my acting I've played those characters as like a tough guy and all that, although I'm not like that, and Tyler really is like that, you know. And overall, I mean I just think it's a great movie, and also it has a happy ending for sure, which also you don't see a lot in Tarantino movies, because
so I guess that is a bonus.
Yeah, because spoiler alert, in real life Sharon Tate gets murdered.
I think I said that
in this movie.
I read that they changed the fate of her.
Like Cliff Booth is the one who like takes on these guys, you know.
Right.
And he has a pit bull who actually helps him do that. That's
always cool.
And like throughout the movie,
animal assistant.
Yeah, and throughout the movie, you know, you get a feel of what's going on with their career and all that. And then later on, you're just kind of like, I think Rick Dalton's not really going to act anymore. And then after all this happens, like one of the chicks that was at one of the Mansons, she has like black hair, and Rick Dalton kills her with a flamethrower, which was like one of the props that he used in his movie, The 14 Fists of McCluskey. Mm-hmm. And after that happened, that kind of sparked a friendship between Rick Dalton and like Sharon Tate and her friends, because they're neighbors in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
So they're like, after all that happened, they're like checking if he's okay, and like, do you want to come up here for drinks? So that kind of sparks his movie career because she was married to a famous director
Right.
at the time who directed Rosemary's Baby, which is still famous to this day.
Right. Right.
And it's like that happy ending, and then Cliff Booth is still able to do stunts, and he was framed for like murdering his wife. They don't know for sure. It's like that's like a big mystery. You know how they have like little mysteries in Tarantino's movies? Like nothing's ever explained. That's like one of the big mysteries.
Yeah, I heard that on the Bruce Lee scene as I watched that.
Yeah, they're like, did he really kill his wife? Did he not? You know, it's like you never know for sure. But yeah, I definitely Once Upon a Time in Hollywood for sure is definitely on my list. And what you're fourth now?
Yeah, we're getting down there. We're getting down the wire.
Through the wire.
So, because I think what I'm thinking is I'm gonna keep the classic for my last one.
Okay.
So this one's new, so I'll fall into that boat, and it's because I watched. Of course, I love it because it's a superhero movie, but I watched a breakdown on it that made me really have a lot of clarity on it, and it's Deadpool 2.
Yeah.
It's such a good fucking movie. It's like it's got a really good story.
Cable in it.
Well, it's not even that. Of course, Deadpool's gonna make you laugh. It's a funny movie. I think the first one's funnier, but this one just the story is so strong. I mean, he loses his girl in the opening of the movie, and it sucks, but you don't really like sob over it because Deadpool's dealing with it his way. But all these things he's trying to do for her, and it's nuts. And when you break it down to like how strong the scenes are, where like the wall's up where he can't get to her, and things like that, and when he finally gets to, and it slowly plays "Take on Me" and copies the whole music video where your hand can go through, and then the fact that it's like how what they did with Deadpool in the comics, which I love, where they made him more not just this horrible guy that kills. He does kill and stuff like that, but he actually has a heart. And with this, it was like,
well, even his background, the way he grew up, and especially in the comics, is like awful. Like,
yeah. And then with this, they just made it where he did want the best for that kid, and it's hard because it's Deadpool, so he can't really show it. He's a dickhead. Right. He's a dickhead to him the whole time, and he's like, "I'm not."
We all know someone like that too.
And he's like, "I'm not protecting you," but literally, as soon as Cable goes into the prison to kill the kid, Deadpool protects him off the bat.
Right.
And then the kid helps him. But then, of course, the kid hears Deadpool, blah, blah, blah. But I think it's just one of those things that you watch and you're just like, okay, I want a little bit of cocktail of everything. Give me a drink full of everything that I want to sit down and, like, deal with. And it's just a mix of bag of everything. But I think at the end of it all, it just shows... He says, like, the F word, it stands for family. And again, like what I was talking about with Coco, I think ultimately we all want to have a family, loved ones around us. And we're in a time right now where we don't get to have it.
That's like one of the most important things.
And we're in a time right now where we don't, my mom lives down the street and I haven't visited her in probably 2-3 weeks just because of what's going on. And, we're trying to play it safe and all that. But that's also the point too, is your family doesn't have to be flesh and blood. It can be your friends or a good group of people that you know or whatever.
Sometimes those people are more family to you than
right. And I have a lot of friends that are considered family, and a lot of friends' parents that I consider them family.
Right. Just
knowing them for all years and just being close to them. But I think that movie is just a solid movie. Again, if you like comics like I do and stuff like that, you're already going to be happy about that. But the things it covers, and the humor is great, of course, but like, again, the ultimate goal behind all of it, it's not just like, oh, I'm going to go save the girl, kind of like the first one, but this one's like, he already lost her, and now he's looking for redemption, and he wants to be a better person after he tries to kill himself, sadly. But it has a take on it where it's like, you're kind of worth it. And he ends up leaving all that behind, and his girl, to come back to the present timeline and all that. Anyways, it's just a really dumb, silly movie, but like I said, there's just enough in it to where I think it's a good, comforting movie, and you actually are getting to watch a Deadpool movie and also kind of feel a little bit and have fun. So that's my fourth. What's your fifth and final one? I haven't heard this one yet because the other one cut off.
So, my fifth and final one, I did have another movie in mind, but now that we went over the list, I was like, I think this movie would be better. Another Ben Stiller movie, There's Something About Mary. I feel like that one definitely, like, I know most of my movies were pretty, like, gritty, but that one...
It's just nasty.
Really?
He comes on and gets on his ear. And she wears it in her hair.
She thought it was gel. I'm saying it's funny though. Like just
it is
now,
funny.
thinking about it is hilarious. But like, and for me, I remember watching that a long time ago, and I was just laughing the whole time. And it had Matt. That's when I discovered the actor Matt Dillon. And after that, Matt Dillon, I admired him.
Matt Dillon's a pretty good actor. Yeah.
I was telling him how I always saw Matt Dillon as like, you know, some like resemblance of Bruce Campbell. Like I feel like they could be either brothers or like cousins. I know you have opposite thought.
That's a maybe. I don't know. Cousins, yeah. I can see more.
Yeah, cousins. Yeah.
In that movie, it's hard because he's got that little like dirtbag mustache, then the big fake teeth that he gets to impress her and all that. But I think that movie's more of just like a goofy, again, Dumb and Dumber vibe. What I say.
It's like a goofy rom-com
where you're like, I'm not gonna think about much. I'm just gonna sit back, enjoy this.
Yeah, that's what I like about it. And again, with my really wacky love life throughout the years, that also it's something that
is that existent or not?
Wow,
I'm just asking.
Just shot a harpoon right through my. You already did a fatality on me. You just overkilling me now.
Friendship.
Over. No. That should be a song. Like, you just overkilling me now.
I'm sure there's something out there like that.
Yeah. But, okay, so, like, yeah, I thought of that, too. You know, we all had that high school crush. But then in this one, it's like, it's a high school crush, but they see each other years down the road, you know. And, of course, in the movie, she gets better.
But to me, it's like, it seems like it's more work to get her as an adult than it was to get her as a young.
Yeah, and I'm saying that there's that part. I mean, we've all gone through that.
Again, I think it's just another movie.
Most of us.
Another movie where, again, you could kind of just laugh, and then on top of it, when you relate to things and it brings you back to, like, nostalgia, even if it's not the best of times, it's nice to escape the reality you're in right now.
Well, like I've said before with my love life, before you fatality me, it's not the destination, it's the journey.
How long does the journey take?
I don't know, but it's a journey, and
don't stop. My final one is Princess Bride, because
I love that one. Yes,
that's the way everyone should answer, I think, to that movie. Anytime you bring it up, because it is just flawless victory.
It really is.
It's timeless. You could watch it. You could watch it now. You watch it now, and you could think that would have been made maybe a few years ago because it's so. There's nothing to date it. There's not references.
It's way ahead of its time. That's for sure.
Well, there's no like, you watch Knocked Up. They reference seeing Spider-Man 3 a lot, I think, in it. And also, this guy's wearing these clothes in this movie or whatever. So that movie's such a period piece or whatever. Mm-hmm. But also the cinematography, the way it's filmed, it's not done in a way where it's gritty film or anything. It's pretty clean. So if you get a good copy, Blu-ray or whatever, it holds up, and you could lie to someone and say this was filmed about 5-6 years ago, and they'd probably believe you. And that's the thing about that movie I love, is how new it is, but on top of it all, it's just good, wholesome family, good-hearted movie. Characters are so lovable. There's nothing.
Inigo's my favorite.
all the characters, dude, are just even Humperdinck is hilarious. He has dumb, stupid ass lines. But yeah, I mean, it's just a good. It's of course it's a love story, but it's funny because much as you're like, oh, you like it because it's a love story. You sound just like Fred Savage, who's getting read to it, by the oh, kissing, and it's like, okay, and that's another part within the movie which is cool, is that it's a story being told, from a grandfather to a kid.
Right.
And that's a unique take in a movie. It's kind of like Never-Ending Story in a way where he's reading the book. But it just, for me, that one just blows it out of the water because the characters, like you said, Andre the Giant, Vasily, whatever his
it
name
shows
is.
how he really is because the actress in there said that he was like such a sweet soul. Like he really was a gentle giant.
He's amazing in that movie.
And there's actually a fun fact I wanted to throw in there really quick about Inigo Montoya's character and the actor. You know how he always said, "You killed my father, prepare to die." And after he fights him, he goes, "I want my father back, you son of a bitch." Mm-hmm. In reality, that actor's dad actually died of cancer. Mm-hmm. And when he was fighting, and he kept saying, "Hello, my name is Inigo Montoya. You killed my father, prepare to die." And all the whole fight scene, the journey to kill that dude, he said that he saw that.
How many fingers do you have? I like that. He always asks everyone, "How many fingers do you have?"
Yeah, but like the thing is that he saw that as him fighting the cancer that killed his dad.
Mm-hmm. I read
when he said, "I want my father back, you son of a bitch," he said
that part.
It felt like he was talking to cancer.
You could tell that part is just so strong because he's like, "My name is Inigo Montoya. You got my father," and then that whole end scene too, right there, where he's like, "Tell me, like, I can have,
whatever I want.
Basically all the money in the world, everything you could dream of." He's like, "Tell me this or whatever," and he goes, "You can have anything or whatever." Then he goes, "Give me back my father, you son of a bitch." And it's just like, oh, such a good moment of triumph. And
well, he said that was very realistic to him because he felt like he was talking to the cancer that killed his dad.
And again, it's just like, the dynamic. What a big thing about movies, I think you see it too, is the chemistry.
Right.
And all those characters had chemistry.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
for
like,
sure.
When Carrie Elways gets back with, or finally teams up with Indigo and Fezzik, and he's like, "You moved your head, aren't you happy?" And he's like, and he's rolling his head back to him, trying to talk to him. And
even like, the comedy is different. Like there's a part where they go through all the guards, and he goes, "Where's the key?" He goes, "Oh, I don't have a key." He goes, "Oh, very well." He goes, tears his arms, goes, "Oh, you mean this key?"
Yeah. Yeah. All we need is a cloak, and he's like, "Where'd you get that from?" "Miracle Max said I look so good in it, I can keep it." It's just like really dumb, like, but you don't ever stop for a second to think, "Oh, this is like Scary Movie, like spoof." But literally, Andre the Giant just pulled a cloak out of his shirt when they go, "All we need is a cloak right now." It's kind of very tongue in cheek, but it's just so good. And again, it's got the whole love aspect and stuff. And this is nothing to do with family or anything. It's just, I think, a good movie just to sit down, and you don't have to turn off your brain on this one just because it's just good. It's just
also a fun movie, yeah.
It's just all the performances. Like I said, Vasily, like, he drank the wrong, that whole thing. Everything's great, and it makes me go back to the COVID thing because people have been posting that thing. He's like, "Why you wear a mask?" He's like, you hit by acid or something?" He goes, "No." He's like, "But I think they'll be very popular in the future." So everyone's been like sharing that as a meme.
Well, like another thing too, I wanted to bring up about Inigo Montoya is another character that I thought of, Oberyn Martell. Doesn't he kind of give off that Inigo Montoya vibe just a little bit? Yeah, but yeah, I think it's funny. I never saw that meme, but now I'm just like, oh, you son of a bitch.
And
about the mask thing,
it's just too good. And
it
again,
is.
And like, I've talked to my dad, who's a big movie buff and stuff too, and we always talk about how
our whole family's movie buffs.
Pretty much, but I mean, some of us get into it a little deeper. I think me and you are pretty deep because we would actually like a career in it, and my dad's deep because he's the one that showed me all the movies. Right. But it's just, again, that movie. It's just got so many good moments, and it's all about fighting for the right thing for everybody, and it's just good. Like again, you can't go wrong with that movie. Any
really
day,
can't.
any day, any time. If it's on and you change the channel, like
I'm actually gonna watch that now during all this. Now that you bring it up,
you're crazy if you ever change the channel while that's on, because it's just it's Rob Reiner who did Pretty Woman and stuff like that. But it's crazy because it just holds up beyond well. That's the crazy part,
right?
Because it's been like decades since it's been out, and it's holding up that long. And I think that's just a good way to explain why it's so good. There's been always rumors of doing sequels and stuff like that.
No, just leave it the way it is.
And I'm very big on like not touching it. I said the only way I would allow it, which like I don't have control, is if we got a different world of none of these characters were in it. It was just someone else as the Dread Pirate Roberts, because you know how it was a mantle, and people took it over. If someone else took it over and they did their own story with it, that's fine with me. I wouldn't be as mad because you're not really making a direct sequel where this is Wesley's son or whatever, or whatever it is.
And however, Inigo Montoya, when he goes, remember when he was, after he finally got his revenge, and he's like, well, I've done this all so many years.
Yeah, he tells
and he goes, I think he'd be good as a pirate. You could do that as a sequel, like a spin-off. Of
but that dude is so old now and stuff. You have to have him recast, and it's just...
Well, I'm saying if I ever saw it as a sequel, I could somewhat see that, for sure. Him and...
I just would like to have, like, his story already be done, and we're on to, like, some young kid, 18, 20-year-old kid that's dealing with it, or a runaway that ends up becoming the Dread Pirate Roberts. And just because I would like to hope to think that guy's retired with Fezzik somewhere. Because, of course, if they ever did it, you could never replace Andre the Giant.
No.
And Billy Crystal, even though he's still great at what he is, Miracle Max scene is just amazing, too, the whole time.
He's only slightly dead, not all the way dead.
And that makes me...
They said that about Jon Snow, too.
Yeah.
That was a meme.
Till this day, anytime people leave, or I always say that, have fun storming the castle. And usually if my dad is there, he'll be like, do you think they could do it? He'll take a miracle. That's always like the whole dialogue. But yep, that's why I like that one as my number one. And
like I said, I'm going to check that out now.
That is our movies. This is our quarantine section of the videos. Okay. We're going to hopefully do more stuff and hopefully get more of the guys here. But again, everyone I know is working, and they're trying to stay safe and keep distances. But we're getting to the point where we're going to get released, I'm hearing. I don't know. We're allowed to do small things, but we also don't want to...
Just take it day by day.
Yes, and we don't want to push it and get people sick. Like, again, I don't really care to wear masks because I'm not too worried, but I do it out of courtesy of other people.
I have a big respirator mask I wear to work.
You still do that?
Yeah.
Looking like a Silent Hill villain or something?
Yeah, and it always scares... Like, at my job, now it's like a thing where, like, if I don't wear it, it just, like... That'd be like if, for example...
Why aren't you covering your face?
Yeah, like, I remember I pulled off the mask, and this coworker, she's like, oh, you look like a normal person. And then I'm like... She goes, I thought you were going to look like some guy that, like, was going to purge or something. Like, she thought it was going to be like some scary-looking dude. I'm like, no, it's just this face. My face. Off.
Nice come around. No, well, like, I went into a place, and I have a wrestling bandana that's Finn Balor, but he has like venom teeth. So when I fold it in half, that's what it looks like, and I'm like, whatever, this looks dope anyways. But then I'm thinking, like, dude, it looks probably scary to workers when people walk around bandanas.
Not really my mask.
And I had like a hood, and I had like that on, and I'm like,
goodness.
And I'm walking through Rite Aid to grab like water and stuff.
Like, what's your name, sir? And you're like, we are Venom.
Well, it's just like, it looks like anyone's gonna rob you.
Everyone looks like that.
But a lot of times I just pull it down a little bit just so I could breathe. I don't know how. Hats off to all the nurses and stuff that wear them all day long.
Shout out to the nurses for sure.
The nurses and doctors and stuff, because dude, it's like so hot. Like for me, breathing in that hot air,
getting all the good equipment.
I'm pulling it like up a little bit, and I had to go. We're totally rambling, but had to go to pre-op with a surgeon, And while I'm talking to him, I'm just like pulling it forward so I can kind of breathe while I'm talking. But yeah, so we're just trying to make it pass by, and hopefully we can bring entertainment to people, and we'll see if it keeps going. If not, I'll still be doing segments on movies and TV shows and stuff like that. A lot of stuff's coming up soon. May the 4th be with you is coming up. Star Wars is going to be released on Disney Plus, so I will finally watch the last Star Wars movie. Everyone has watched it. I've read the script when that leaked, so I got an idea, but I'm sure we're going to make a panel of us all discussing that movie, and then there is going to be a behind-the-scenes release of Mandalorian, so I'm sure we will talk about that. So again, nice. Being best there is, we're not just going to be covering games and cards and stuff. We also will be covering pop culture stuff once again. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. Click, like, subscribe, whatever. I don't care. I make these for me and to have fun. So thank you guys. Bye.
Farewell.